Hey guys, this is David Wunderlich, and with this video I'm going to give you a quick scouting report on what I see from LSU's offense. The best way to think about this LSU offense is imagine a Les Miles offense that didn't fall behind the times. That's the reason why Les Miles got fired ultimately, is that he didn't keep up with the times. Well, they're still a run-based ball control offense that takes some shots down the field, just like they were back when Les Miles was around, but now they are actually up to date. So here are the basic things that I've picked up on LSU's offense from watching some of their games this year. The primary running back is number 4, Nick Brossette. Now, Nick Brossette is not going to remind you of Darius Geis or Leonard Fournette or any of those guys. He's not going to run over people, and he doesn't have amazing breakaway speed. But the thing that he does well is see holes and seeing running lanes. He is incredible at finding the right crease and hitting it at just the right time. That's really his gift. And so here's a running play against Miami. And on this one, Miami's going to do a pretty good job of its run coverage. So we just run it forward a little bit here. Miami's doing a pretty good job in its run coverage. If you've ever heard somebody talk about a defense setting the edge, Miami is doing that. They've got 97 over here and another guy coming off this edge. They are out there to hem Brossette in. They're trying to force the running back into this big old crowded area right here, and they are doing that. And they've also got this linebacker out here lurking in case Joe Burrow keeps it and tries to get some cheap yards out that way. Burrow does have some wheels. He's not amazing, but he is more than serviceable at the run game, so he may carry the ball at times. I'm actually going to back this up a little bit because the middle linebacker coming in this way does a good job at filling a gap as well. When you really look at this, it really doesn't look like there's much room for Brossette to go. You can see there the middle linebacker is plugging up space. You have another guy coming in this way, taking up space. There really shouldn't be anywhere for Brossette to go on this play, but he did a little bit of a stutter step in the backfield. It gave just enough time for a hole to open up there in the middle, and he shoots through and gets a nice big gain. So here we are back at the beginning, so you can see this in real time, and it really doesn't look like there's any space there, but Brossette gives just enough of a delay that a hole opens up and he's able to get through. So that's what Brossette does well. He knows where the holes are supposed to be, and he can see everybody on the field and hit the holes at just the right time. Here's a play from LSU's game against Ole Miss that shows how they are using some really old school principles, but in a completely up-to-date way. You can see LSU here is in a spread formation with guys spread out all the way over here. They're starting on this hash, but they have a receiver on this hash and another guy out here who's closer to the numbers than he is to the hash. So this is an actual spread set. So you may be looking at this and think, okay, sure, but this obviously is a 2 tight end set. Well, it's not. This is a tight end over here, but this is not. This is a receiver. And it is a play that is almost as old as football itself. The quarterback drops back, does play action, and the offense sneaks a tight end out and over to the flat for an easy gain off of that play action. Well, that's exactly what LSU is doing here, but it's actually doing it with a receiver instead of a tight end. So if we watch this play unfold, there's your play action, and Burrow gets it away just in time, and now you've got this beautiful, wide open area. There's absolutely no one over here. It's exactly how the play is drawn up. That's exactly how people have been running it for decades. It's just that 17 right there, that's a wide receiver. And so when he turns upfield, he's able to get upfield quickly, and he gets more of a gain than a tight end might have. Although Ole Miss's defense is pretty bad, so it's really hard to say. But LSU does more with its passing game than those really simple things. This is a pretty sophisticated type of play where there are going to be 3 different levels using these 3 receivers over here on the right side. The nearest receiver is going to just run a go route. He's going to keep going straight all the way, and he creates the highest level. The next receiver over is going to come out and do an out route. He creates the nearest level. And then the outside receiver here is going to come out, and he's going to create an intermediate level. So you've got 1, 2, 3 levels for the defense to worry about. This is not just a simple fake the handoff and throw it to the open guy kind of play. And this happens to be the sort of play that Joe Burrow is pretty good at making. So if we watch this play go forward, he's waiting in the pocket, and I'll stop it right here. You've got your first level, you've got your second level, and you've got your third level. On this play, LSU is not spreading out the defense side to side, right? It's not doing that. It's spreading out the defense vertically. This guy's pretty well covered. You got double coverage back here, but the outside receiver was able to come up and find this open hole in the defense, and Joe Burrow hits him exactly right. So here's the play in real time, and LSU is creating 3 different levels, and it is able to find an open spot in the Auburn defense. Creating levels is a classic kind of passing concept, and LSU does it from a spread formation to the right, and they're able to stretch the defense vertically. In a lot of ways, LSU's offense is not innovative in and of itself, but rather it takes a lot of the best things from a lot of different kinds of offenses and synthesizes it together into a coherent whole. So if you remember last year's Florida LSU game, when Matt Canada was running the LSU offense, he was using tons of shifts and motions, and especially jet sweeps. And it took more than a quarter for Florida's defense to figure out how to defend that jet sweep. Well, that jet sweep is still in the playbook. You can see number 10 here. He is going in motion. There's going to be a quick handoff to him, and he's going to get around the edge and get about 11 yards on Ole Miss. Just because Matt Canada is at Maryland now, it doesn't mean that Florida can completely dismiss everything that LSU did on offense last year, because Steve Ensminger, the offensive coordinator for LSU this year, is pretty smart and he knows that play works, and so he added it to his playbook. And in some ways, it really does feel like this is just an up-to-date Les Miles team. Here's a 4th and 3 around midfield from the LSU-Auburn game. LSU is down 14-10 early in the third quarter, and they're looking to get a little bit of a spark. And so you can probably guess from me talking about Les Miles that this is not a punt. In fact, it is a fake punt, and it's a fake punt jump pass. It falls incomplete because punters aren't very good at jump passes, but again, just because Les Miles is gone, it doesn't mean that LSU isn't going to be creative with special teams. This is still LSU, and they're still going to do stuff like that. So, how do you try to stop this LSU offense? Well, their offensive line is good in some ways, but not in others. I don't think Florida is going to be able to overpower their offensive line because nobody really has overpowered LSU's offensive line. Not Miami or Auburn, and Auburn especially has a larger defensive line than Florida does. But while Florida's is smaller, it is quicker, and the way to get past LSU's offensive line is by shooting gaps with quickness, not by just brute strength overpowering these guys. There are a lot of good examples of this from the Miami game, principally with this guy right here, number 9, Gerald Willis. He actually is a former Florida Gator who got kicked out of the program and he transferred to Miami. And he is quick at shooting gaps, and he was able to do that with relative frequency. So in this play, the guard's going to pull around. These guys are going to kind of slant off to that side. And Willis is going to use a swim move to get past those guys directly this way and get into the backfield. So as these guys are going that way, he's going to come this way, and he's going to shoot that gap and just get through really quickly. So we go forward. There he goes, and he gets into the backfield and stops the runner. Show this to you in real time. Keep your eyes on Willis. Some of Florida's defensive tackles, like TJ Slayton, have shown themselves to be pretty quick with swim moves like that, so I expect to see quite a bit of that from Florida's defense. So here's another example of it. It's actually the next play, and it's a little more straightforward. The right guard is going to attempt to block Willis, and he's again going to use a quick move to get around, and the right guard is going to end up literally tackling Willis, and don't worry, it did get flagged. But that's what it took to keep Willis away from the quarterback on this play. So if we go forward, just uses that quick swim move. You can see there, it looks like a freestyle swimming stroke. And good wrapping up right there, wraps him up right around the knees. That's exactly the kind of form tackle you want to see from a defender, not an offensive lineman. The play ends up a throwaway. So here it is in real time, and watch how quickly Willis gets into the backfield. So just like any Florida LSU game, it's going to be won and lost in the line of scrimmage. And I think Florida has a chance to win some in the line of scrimmage when it's defense against LSU's offense, because Florida has some quickness on its defensive line. LSU's tackles are not as susceptible to getting beat around the edges as Mississippi State's were, but they still can be beat out there, so I wouldn't be surprised if Ja'Kai Polite has another pretty good game. But in this one, I'm really going to be looking at those defensive tackles, especially TJ Slayton, as they try to shoot the gaps that are on either side of the offensive guards. If Florida's going to disrupt the LSU offense, it's going to have to do it right up the middle with those defensive tackles.